going to come from the elbow firing into the ball. So if you're trying to beat me like this, and I'm lined up here punching my whole body into the ball, I'm going to win every single time. Even if you get there before me, my force is going to beat your speed. So that's the first thing. So what we do is we call it the hand punch. 10 whistles, they get down, and their goal is to get their thumb to the ball as quickly as they can. And we're making sure they're doing it this way, not using their shoulder, right? If I were to give you a dumbbell, 40-pound dumbbell, and say, bench press it, and now try to lift it, lateral raise, there'd be a huge discrepancy there. So I'm not going to face off with my shoulder, I'm going to face off by extending my arm. So we train that. We're doing two things. We're training the technique, we're training the ability to go as fast as we can and react, and we're training that reaction to a whistle. Now, we go to what we call ripcord drill. So now we're going to take our left hand. We have to train our left hand to do the proper thing on the whistle. We don't want to do this. We don't want to bring it into our body. We don't want to punch it out. What we do is we call it a gooseneck. We want to bring our left hand straight up to the air, right there. Okay? And what that does is it gets the butt end of the stick high, so we get the top end of that sidewall to bend underneath our opponents. Same thing, 10 whistles, we're going to react, boom, hit it, and then bring it back down. Over and over again, okay? Then we move to the next drill, which is called the doorknob drill. We're going to have a top sidewall version of this, on the whistle, without the ball. All we're trying to do is smack that top sidewall to the ground as quickly as we can. Once we do that, then we're going to work on our bottom sidewall move, called flat line. We're trying to get flat to the ground. Every time, punch the ground, get that bottom sidewall, get real flat. Now, the last thing we do is chops. But I think there's a little bit of a misconception about chops. The idea is that chops make your hands faster, but this is not a face-off move, right? So this isn't going to make me faster at face-offs. I know there's a lot of old school drills out there, juggle. Some kids, they sit on the ground and do this with the ball for some weird reason, okay? If just moving your hands fast made you faster at face-offs, then I'll just go find a guy who does blackjack, deals it out down in Las Vegas, bring him in here and be a three-time All-American on face-offs. It's not the same thing, okay? And the reason behind that is it's not the same technique. Unless you're doing the exact technique, you're not improving your hand speed. The reason we do chops, though, is to teach you to move your hands while you keep your balance. So your balance should be distributed only to your feet, not on your hands. Okay? My feet are back too far, my hands are heavy, I'm going to get smoked. Closer to the ball, 80% of my weight's on my right leg, 20% is my left leg. Butt's high, helmet's down. This gives me a nice line of my spine to the ball. And now what I'm trying to find out is, can this kid do this while keeping his balance? That's why we do chops. Okay? Any questions about the hand speed warm-up or the philosophy behind that? Okay?
This is the ripcord drill where he's popping that left hand up. What is your cue for that? Like, do you have a command?
We blow 10 whistles on that.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the hand punch, the ripcord, and then both versions of the doorknob, that's all just 10 whistles and completely random.
Got it.
You don't want to like get into a rhythm and just keep blowing it, because what you'll do is, what I like to do is, like, the kids hate it, but after like 3 or 4 whistles, I'll just pause real long, and you'll just see a whole bunch of kids go, ah! Because we're trying to avoid that. Same thing too when kids are trying to practice reps. The reason we made that app is there's YouTube videos, right? So you'll hear these YouTube MP3s, and it's just be some guy saying downset whistle for a long time. But what happens is the kids listen to the track so much, they start to memorize it. Now you've done everything possible to ruin your ability to react to a random cadence. So we do that with the hand speed. After we work on the hand speed warm up, then we go into our layers, okay? So we have 6 layers of moves that we teach. The first 3 are bottom sidewall, okay? Quick rake is the first one. We're getting real flat to the ball, trying to pull it across our body. Power rake is the second one. We ball pin. So instead of going flat and pulling the ball to the left, we pin the ball right here. The reason we would do that is because it's a nice, easy tuck-up motion. If you go against the guy who clamps over the ball but uses his wrist, he'll land right on your stick, and then you can manipulate his head. You can lift it straight up, you can pull it to the left, whatever you want to do. So then we work on that. Then we work on a reverse clamp. So now we're flatlining, but now, instead of going to the side or on top of, we're going over the ball, okay? And we can pick the ball at the front of our stick. Then, after we've done those 3 layers, then we go to the top sidewall, okay? Top sidewall layers are the clamp. The clamp means we're turning the doorknob, opening the door over the ball. The left hand, though, is going to stay on the ground, right on the midline. What we don't want to do anymore, and I know it was a big knee down thing, is we used to punch our left hand forward low. That worked because everyone's wrist was like this, coming over top of the ball. But if you swing that left hand forward now, and I can move my wrist, if I get a piece of it, I can beat you forward. No easier way to get beat forward than swinging your left hand low and away. So we teach that left hand to stay low on the clamp. Then we go to the plunger. So now our left hand's coming up. Okay? And the plunger, same thing. Punch the hand into the ball. The left hand's going to gooseneck. Notice my elbow doesn't come up. My hand comes up. The reason the hand comes up is because if my elbow comes up, the butt end only gets here. But if I replace my elbow with my hand, notice how my head completely punches down on the ball like that. So the goal on a plunger is to get your left hand to knee height as quickly as you can. And then our final layer, we call it a true plunger. Think of the regular plunger like a hammer. I'm going to crush the ball, boom, with force, and I'm going to pick my exit out of that. A true plunger means I'm going to try to slide up under the ball as quickly as I can and go forward as fast as possible. Okay? The true plunger would be equivalent to like a pitcher pop. We're going forward every time. Okay? Now, out of there's variations. So we have exits. I only teach 3 exits now. Front door, left shoulder. Back door, right shoulder. TTL through the legs. Okay? Those are only 3. We don't teach the defensive exit anymore. The defensive exit we introduced in 2011, knee down, you get this ball, you turn hard here, and you exit this way. The problem is, that would work if your opponent was on a knee. But if I start to turn away from my opponent now, he's already standing, all he has to do is come back around this way and reverse shovel me. So we don't teach it anymore, it's too easy. I love the old school TTL. In my opinion, it's the hardest exit to stop because there's no legal thing a guy can do to try to stop you and pull the ball back once you separate him from the ball. I love it, okay? Unfortunately, a lot of kids don't use it because most of them are using illegal heads. So they're afraid it's not going to pop out clean. So I'm an assistant coach for Mamaroneck, and I get on all my face-off guys. You got to check your stick with the ref before the game, and we hammer TTLs. So I would highly recommend you make sure your guys are capable of doing that. Any questions about those layers and the exits there? Okay. Part of the exit thing for me is I am really hard on my guys about the rule of once you acquire a clamp or a plunger, that ball has to move off the line before you take any steps. Okay? If I lose a clamp, the only thing I need is time. I need to know that you're going to take that extra step. Because if I lose and you step, now I have time to transition into a counter. And I train nonstop with my guys about how to transition into counters. Because the problem is, and you'll see this, the better a face-off guy is, the quicker he is on a whistle, the more he sucks at counters, because the less he needs them. Okay, so what happens is those guys who are really fast, they get to the college level, they lose a clamp, and they're like, they don't know what to do. Okay? Some guys get away with poor footwork at the high school level, and then they get to college. And you'll see like the kid who came in 42 for Notre Dame, Christian Gallagher. He was playing at the end of the game today. Dude is a meat stick, okay? I do not want to be in there longer than I need to be because he will counter me right off my feet. So that's what I'm really harsh on my guys about is once you get to the ball has to move before you take any steps, okay? So we practice those counters. So what we'll do is we go through the layers. We'll go quick rake 5 reps, we'll go power rake 5 reps, we'll go reverse clamp. Now once we get to the reverse clamp, now we're adding the exits. So we'll go 5 reverse clamps, front door, 5 back door, 5 TTL, and we'll do that for all the moves. And then we'll get to the true plunger and we'll just go forward. There's one other additional move. It was very popular last year or two at the college level because a lot of guys are just guessing and rolling into it. But it is very effective. Going back door, I call it an overclamp. And what you'll do is you'll punch your right hand towards the ball. The only difference is instead of bringing your left hand here, you're going to throw it to your belly button. And now you've got an inverted pinch. and then you do a backdoor rollout. So once you get here, you roll right out, and you pull it this way. So there's certain guys who have a knack for that, and we'll continue to train them. I get this question a lot too. Coaches will be like, what's your favorite move? My answer to that is the move that works, right? So I've had people that, other groups that teach face-offs and stuff make fun of the FOA, say, they're doing all these moves that no one does. They're doing a power rake, no one does power, no one does, until they do, and it's successful. So if I had a room and you guys were all kids, I would teach you every single move, because I don't know which one of you guys are gonna be great at what move. Perfect example, Navy right now has an incoming sophomore named Zach Hayashi. I could not get Zach recruited. I couldn't do it. He was at McDonough. He was a middle linebacker at McDonough, but he didn't clamp first. And a lot of college coaches were like, well, that guy doesn't even clamp. What he did was he shoveled and raked first. Navy picked him up, and last year he set Navy's single season face-off record exclusively shoveling and raking. What do I know? Okay? And here was my point to that story is, a clamp isn't a face-off. A clamp is a move, right? Just like a step-down shot in lacrosse, that's not the only shot. So if I teach all these moves, my concept is, I don't know which one of you guys are gonna flourish with which move, but on top of that, every move has an antagonistic move that goes against it. And every move can beat a different move. So here's a perfect example. We do what I call face-off chess in our trainings. A clamp, the guy's clamping really well against me. A rake will beat a clamp. The reason is the clamp, left hand stays low, you're going over the ball this way. But because you're not pinching it, if I come up underneath your stick, your top side will land on mine, and then I can pull that ball out easily. Okay, so if we go at the same time, a proper rake beats a proper clamp every time. So now, if a guy's beating me with a rake, how do I beat a rake? Well, now it's time to pitch the ball. I use a plunger. If I go slide underneath the ball and I collapse on top of it as you're raking, you're gonna put the ball right in my stick, and then I'm gonna beat you. So now, that player is winning with a plunger. So how do we counter that? Well, his left hand's coming off the ground. So that means on the whistle, his left hand comes off the ground, I can come underneath his glove, shovel, and the ball comes out here. Guy's beating me with a shovel, how do I beat that? Keep my left hand low, I clamp, and we come all the way full circle, okay? So, my point is that there's a move to beat a move all the time. We used to say that like back in the 90s. Then it got totally out of hand when everything was knee down and everything became a 60-second wrestling match. And here we are again. We're stand up, and now we're spaced off the line. And now guys can flourish with different moves and different strategies. Okay? The one thing I definitely tell all my guys, I don't want to see you lock up. Get into a 50-50 and you start spinning, I'm not going to put you back in. And the reason behind that is there's no advantage to me spinning. If I get locked up here and I start turning, the only thing that can happen now is you're going to rip the ball out and it's going to go backward. Okay? Now, the other part of that is there are 4 guys sprinting in like special teams members that they cannot wait to kill us. If we get locked up for 10 seconds, nobody's going to win because as soon as that ball comes out, everyone's getting chopped. So what we hammer is you have to react to 2 things. You have to react to the whistle, and then you have to react to impact. So if me and the other guy go, boom, we got impact. Now, what happened on that impact? Did I slide under the ball? If I slid under the ball at all, then that means if I lift my left hand and roll my wrist, before the other guy realizes it, I'm going to win every single time. If I didn't and he has more of it, now it's a race to realization. If he realizes he has enough and he pulls out before me, he'll win. If I realize he has more of it and I transition into the proper counter, I will win. And we want to do that as quickly as we can before the wings get in and screw everything up. Okay? So we work a lot on transitional counters. But the problem with that is you have to learn how to lose a clamp in order to practice that. So we do certain drills like that. So a good drill for any coach, we have one guy starts in a clamp, the other guy is the opposition. We're going to practice losing this clamp. On the first whistle, he's going to clamp into my hand. I am on the first whistle and I'm going to choose. I'm either going to keep my left hand low or I'm going to bring it up. Okay, let's say I bring it up. We freeze. He lost the clamp. Second whistle, he's going to shovel counter me. Boom, pull the ball out and feet. If my left hand is low on the second whistle, he's going to jump in front, come around my glove, and he's going to pull the ball through his legs. Okay, a reverse shovel. will train that recognition over and over and over again. Because I need my guys to recognize when they lose the plan. I don't want them to drop to a knee. I don't want them to panic and spin in a circle. And God, I do not want them to kick their feet back and do this thing. Because once we do this and our arms are extended out that way, we're pushing the ball right into our opponent's stick. So it doesn't make any sense. So what we want to do is keep our feet planted, react, and do the necessary shuffle count. So a lot of this stuff is once they have the basics, every day we focus on our exits, we focus on getting the ball out. Now, the last part of this, you'll see tomorrow at the clinic, every single time we do a move, we practice scooping, rolling, and throwing back. Constantly. I do not want a bunch of dudes who just clamp and don't know how to play lacrosse. Okay? And as you're seeing now, when you look at the recruiting world, the top guys constantly at the face-off world are going every year who are big, imposing, offensive-minded face-off guys. Guys who are good with their sticks. And I'm telling my guys, I'm like, look, man, this isn't what it used to be. I know Ryder had mentioned earlier when he was getting recruited. You know, I remember when I was getting recruited, it was like top 205 and champ camp. And if you did well at those, you were going to college. It's a lot different now. There is a 137-team tournament going on in California right now, Sandstorm, right? I feel like every freaking weekend that's going on somewhere in this country. It's not as simple as just finding the best clamper anymore. You have to be able to separate yourself. And the way you do that, when 8,000 kids are facing off in your class, is being able to demonstrate that you can scoop and under pressure make the right decision. Doesn't mean you have to be able to swim move people and score and dive and all do that stuff. Every coach in here thinks, dude, win the face-off, scoop it on the first try, and then make the smart decision. That's all we need you to do. One of those rules for me is practicing picking up the ball and then one or right or left, 2 hard steps to clear your hands and getting it to your partner. So what we'll do a lot of is the guy will be in front of me, I'll be behind him, he'll go first, do his move, roll, throw back. Now I'm up. And then I go. And then that's how we get our reps. So we go through our practice schedule on it, and you'll see it tomorrow. Hand speed warm-up, layers, exits, partner up, work on the scoop and throw. Then we'll get into live variations where we will work on our counter work. And then we'll do, when I do lives, I don't just sit there and just bash clamps for an hour. We'll do parameters. So we'll go top sidewall versus bottom sidewall. Any top sidewall move versus any bottom sidewall move. And we'll alternate on every rep so we get equal reps. Then we'll go offensive versus counters. And then we'll do whatever move, whatever move you want. But I always say you can't do the same move 2 times in a row. I have to hammer these guys away from doing what's comfortable. Because as you guys know, anyone can do what they're good at. We want you to do the things you're not good at, or else what's the point? Okay? I just threw a lot at you real quick, but just tell me if you guys have any questions about either that or anything I haven't touched on yet. Yes. Oh, sorry.
What's the communication, or should the communication be with your wing guys prior to baseball?
Phenomenal. Yeah, great question. Okay. Last year we had a board. We don't have a board this year, but all right. So how many of you guys play on a football field in your home games? Okay, got football lines out there. All right. So the terminology we use is very akin to using the football field. So we have the midline. That's 0. The left side is draw side. Okay, that's where my shorty will be 99% of the time, unless you have a Brody Merrill on your team. The right side will be the defensive side. That's where we put our LSM. The draw side's job is to create a 2-on-1. So we're going to use this space. When I line up, we have a base set. Okay, my base set, if you go back and watch most of my film in my career, meant that we have, if this is the 0, every 5 yards. So we have -5, we have -10, because the wing line is 20 yards long, +5, +10. Okay, so now we have it graded. Draw side, defensive, pluses and minuses. We put the shorty at -10. And the reason we do that is because other than the face-off guy, it's actually very close. Face-off guy is most important. The shorty is really the linchpin in this whole thing. And the reason behind that is if I put him at -10, this LSM has to make a decision right now, okay? He can't just stand there because all of my options are open. So he has to decide, am I going to take away Greg or am I going to take away the wing, okay? So for all intents and purposes, let's say he's going to take away me. That means I tell my guys unequivocally, unless that option is absolutely not there because of our opposition, we are putting the ball through our legs to our wing on every rep. I would love for my face-off guy to not even sweat. Let's just throw it out there, go ahead and take the easy win. The idea behind that is like running in football to open up the pass. If this guy's like, yo, the coach is like, we just lost 6 face-offs, can you get down there, dude? Okay, now we go up there, thank you. Now I can go forward and absolutely dunk on you because nobody hears, okay? Now, the shorty's also going to have a very important job, and I don't know how you guys are going to be having your officiating done based on what the NCAA does this year. But now that we're going to be down, physical set and adjust, back out, whistle, I'm down there for a while. I can't, where'd he go? You know, I can't keep looking around for the LSM. So my face-off guys know every single time they come up to the line, where's the LSM? Okay, there he is. All right, so let's say he's taking me away. He's on the offensive half of the field for me. That means this is the look. When I go down, if he uses motion, okay, and a good team to watch is Ohio State. They use pre-whistle motion all the time. It's a very good job, good thing to do. If he slides down there, I need an audible call. So the shorty's job, just yell the face-off guy's name 3 times loud. Boom, boom, boom. While the face-off guy's down there, he knows that the switch was just made. So now this is the exit. If he doesn't make that call, and he gets intercepted, that's a goal. It's totally on him, okay? So the shorty's job is to make our look as obvious as possible. The long pole's job is to take away whatever this guy's favorite thing to do is, okay? So let's say we're going against a team, and their face-off guy loves to put the ball through his legs, turn and scoop. That's fine. So what we'll do, if he's going this way, he's facing me, we're going to put our LSM at +5, and I'm going to tell him, every time, I want you to sprint in there and ruin this guy, okay? After a couple bumps, he realizes, okay, my favorite move isn't there. Now I have to do my second favorite move. Okay, well, if I can get any face-off guy to have to beat me with a second favorite move, I feel pretty good about that. So that's the 2 jobs that we have. That's the audible call and the language we use. And there's always, of course, caveats. So for instance, say you're going against a long pole, okay? What would you guys do on the wings if you put your long pole out there? Probably 99% of the time. Lock, right? I love when teams would lock my wings because it makes it real easy to manipulate, okay? So, for instance, perfect example. A couple of years ago, Notre Dame played Duke in the national championship game, okay? When I was helping them game plan, the scout on Jake Peso was that he will pop the ball back door, he will pop the ball front door, he'll literally do anything on earth but put the ball through his legs. You go back and watch that film, he had about 40 yards of green beauty behind him. Didn't do it once. Because we completely took this exit away, we completely took that exit away, and then if he lost the clamp, Will went immediately into a shovel count. So when he would get shoveled, Jake would try to draw a push. He would do anything but put the ball through his legs. If he did that, he put the ball through his legs, we were cooked. Okay? But what we did was we took away his favorite thing. So, and Duke is easy to do that, okay, unless any of you guys are Coach Caputo's spy. Okay, they're easy to do that because they love doing wing, they always just say hip to hip. And anytime a team just goes hip to hip on wings, they're easy to move. So we have 2 calls when you go out against a long pole. Up and back, okay, very sophisticated stuff. So you go out there, I see that they have a long pole, I immediately turn, I yell to my wings, get me a second shorty. I want 2 shorties out here. Go up. Up means +10 all the way up there. So now their wings are all back there, their pole is here. I win the clamp and put it back here. I have nothing to worry about. Turn, scoop. My rule in game is that when you are running in a direction when you scoop a face-off ground ball, keep running in that direction and make it pass. Don't turn upfield. So that's what we do. Throw it back to the goalie, and we live to fight another day over and over again. If you do that enough times, and the long pole comes out there, that's where the gamesmanship comes in. That's where you stay back. You put your shorties all the way down to -10. You talk to your goalie real quick. Make sure you guys spread out for me. Boop, you go forward, and there's absolutely nobody around, and it's just an easy, nice goal. Okay. So those are the calls when we deal with a long pole. One other one is when you're a man down draw. Okay, man down draw. We don't want to make a bleed, a hemorrhage. Okay, we don't do anything stupid. So what we do is we just keep one guy deep. All right, we're going to try to beat him, just the 2 of us. If we lose the clamp, we back in, and we live to fight another day. If we're man up, we want to try to get them to do something silly. So what we do is we go out there, we wait to see which side they put the wing on. 90% of the time we put it on my draw side because we want to try to take that easy option away. That's what I would recommend. Now, whatever wing is being covered, you have to go back to -10. You want to take my wing away, that's fine. But if you are silly enough to go all the way up here to do it, then now all I got to do is just get this ball out to the side a little bit, and we've got a bum rush. So that's what I usually do to kind of navigate that, okay, make it as easy as possible. Really the goal with the wings, it's not what it used to be. When I used to do the wing stuff at speaking engagements, when it was knee down, 95% of it was after the lockup, right? That's all we talked about. After the lockup, where do we stand, how do we? Now, we don't get lockups anymore unless both face-off guys are doing it wrong. So now it's all about creating space, pre-whistle, making sure we make a read and an audible when it's appropriate. Yes?
So going off of those, audibles when they're moving on the wing, so we have our guy at -10, they go down, we get a bounce set, he moves, we call out, Greg, and then he starts shifting back after we've done it a few times. Their coach is a really simple call.
Yes.
Their quick fix up on it. At what point are we just like, our face-off guy's gonna go do his thing, we're not gonna deal with their guy moving back and forth?
Great question, and that's really dependent on how you're winning the face-off, okay? Because I do get that question. Now, there are ways you can totally screw a face-off guy up. The reason I love motion, I'll use motion every time that I think we're definitely outmanned as far as how good the face-off guy is. At Mamaroneck, we played Rye a couple of years ago. Johnny Hartzell, who's at Colgate right now, top 5 all-time in career face-off wins in New York. We were playing, and I'm like, all right, well, you know we're going to lose the clam. So what we would do is we would lead, we would pretend like we're locking off the wing. We would stand there, and as soon as the ref says down, we'd go up. And my hope was we would do it a few times, and his wings would start telling him this is what they're doing. Just leave it. But you're in your head. It's in your head. So even if you know they're leaving the face, like I look at that and I go, there's no way I can pop it there. I know he's going to leave. What I've just done is I've just taken away 2 exits for a top-tier face-off guy. But even more importantly, I've made him think. Anytime you can make a face-off guy think, we're going to slow down, right? So if I can get him to clamp and just hesitate, we got to counter. And that's what we were able to do to him. So what you don't want to do is make your guy have to think too much. So I agree. What I tell my guys is, you stay there. If he goes up and comes back, then we're just going to have to learn because you can't stop everything. What I don't want is like, Greg, never mind. You know, like, oh shit, you know? So, you know, if it bites us, it bites us, and good for them for figuring it out. But the beauty of it is, right, down. If he sprints 10 yards this way, then sprints 10 yards that way by the set whistle, we might have a relatively geriatric referee on our hands. You know what I mean? That's a really long time. So yeah, well, I think if they do that, then you have to make that read as a team. Now, if my face-off guy is like, look, coach, I can just catch this thing on the left side of my body every time, good. Then just do that, and we'll just keep doing that. Yeah.
How much time do you think a face-off guy should be spending in practice working on his specialty?
Phenomenal question. Okay. So that's one of the things that we put on our platform. I wrote like an annual macro cycle. And it was based on college, because college is a little different, right? You're preparing for Saturdays for the most part. But it's malleable. You can change it based on what your schedule is. But basically what you would do is the off season, if you have a team that trains in the winter and even preseason, your job is to fix things. So I'll tell a kid, like, you know, you finish your season in June, take a few weeks off, let your body heal. Then I want you to make an honest assessment of your season. What moves were you good at? What did you suck at? What do you need to get better at? List it literally from top to bottom. What are you the best? What are you the worst? Now we're going to flip it upside down. Here's your homework for next season. You cannot beat a rake. I need you to learn how to plunger and beat a rake, right? That's the onus on him. Now we get into the preseason, and now we're prepared. You know, we all meet. We're all allowed to practice together as a team. We're on the field. The way we do it is I want my guys to feel part of the team as much as possible. Because I can tell you from experience, being a face-off man can be one of the loneliest things in team sports. If you're cruising and you're winning face-offs, they expect you to do that. If you're losing them, no one wants to talk to you, right? And no matter what's happening, no one on the sideline can help you. So what I tell my guys is, when you go into season now, we're in team practice, warm up, stick skill drills, even offensive and defensive. I always make my face-off guys practice defense. Be with the team defense. I need you to know how to play defense. You cannot be a liability for us on defense. Then, when we go into the specialty stuff, so man up, man down, that's your time to go get your face-off training. And my thing is like, we're not gonna just screw around for 3 hours while everyone else is practicing and have you guys play grab ass and clamp. When coach says it's man up, man down, we're going over to this corner and we're working our asses off. We're hitting it hard. So we do the warm up, we do all the stuff that we need to do. Then, if you practiced all off season and I don't have any massive holes in your game, it makes my life so easy because now all we're doing is preparing for our opposition. Okay, hey, I watched the film on this kid. He loves to rake. We have to practice against the rake. So we have 3 guys on our depth chart. You're gonna take turn being a dummy. We're gonna rake versus plunger. We're gonna work on the proper exit and we're gonna work on the wing play where we want our guys based on our strengths. So we will practice that for the most part. Now, I'm also lucky because I run weekly face-off trainings in our town. So my face-off guys are in there getting their reps in and their technical work. So when I have team practice, I'm able to do a little bit more of that. So it's gonna depend on what you've got going on with your team. But my whole thing is like, if these guys have practiced the way they're supposed to in the off season, once the spring comes, I'm preparing. I'm not upgrading or training you. You don't have time. And this happens a lot to me right now. Like 3 or 4 weeks into the college season, I'll start getting calls from teams. Hey, our face-off guy's really struggling. Can you help us? I mean, it's like asking to teach a guy to write left-handed, like when he has to do a college essay all of a sudden. Like this should have been fixed in August. But when we prepare, we have 1 day of the week that's prepared strictly for what this other guy likes to do. We want to prepare for this guy. We want to prepare 1 day on our strengths. But we will never just sit there and take live reps back and forth because these are the only guys that you're ever not going to play in a game, right? So if you and I are a team and I just go clamp for clamp with you in practice, it doesn't do anything, right? I would rather one of us takes turns doing what the other guy does. So if he has a weird stance, let's practice against the weird stance. If he rakes or shovels, let's practice against that. But we do all of that mostly most of us do EMO like at the end of practice, right? Do your specialty stuff towards the end of practice, man up, man down. So as soon as that's called, our face-off guys are doing that until we're ready to bring it in. And that's usually about 30 minutes. You're just going hard. And that's how we fit that in. Now, the other part of that is if coach wants to do, say, 6-on-6 at the end of practice, and we don't even do man up, man down, okay, but we're gonna start with face-off. And our head coach is really cool about that because my belief is it's always interesting from my experience. I remember, especially in the pros, we spent 0 seconds in practice on face-off, transition through the box, getting the ball in offense. But then all of a sudden, we all expect it to be this perfectly well-oiled machine on game day when our parents and friends are watching us in a pressure situation. So my thing was like, if you're gonna do 6-on-6, start with a face-off. 3-on-3, first and second team face-off. Whoever wins it, just turn around, go clear it. Transition off the field, and now we're in. If you do like 3 or 4 cycles of offense, come back, do it again. Here's something that I would love for at least one of you guys to take. Drove me crazy because I don't understand why everyone doesn't do this. Especially because we don't have shot clock. Are you guys going to the shot clock era this year? Okay. I know in New York we're going to start doing the shot clock. So on a face-off, and I try to do this when I played professionally, but a lot of guys would just walk on the field and rotate. So if I want to face-off, we get the ball, get it on offense. At my high school, we send our face-off guy immediately to the crease, and we build a 1-3-2 out of that. What we've done immediately is we've taken their team's face-off guy, and now he's in the crease with us. We transition in the box. Before we get the third midi on, the third midi's at the midline. We do an initiation dodge far from the box. Initiation dodge comes, as soon as I initiate, face-off guy sprints to the midline. Now, you have a face-off guy going, I can either run with him and vacate the slide, or I can be the slide guy, but now I'm stuck on defense for the next couple minutes. Either way, it's a huge win for us. because now you have a face-off guy, and this will really be good if you're going against a face-off guy, if like it's relatively even battle, you got two good face-off guys. If their team's face-off guy has to worry about playing defense 20 times that game, getting stuck on the field, that plays serious head games with you. But it also opens up an easy offensive situation. You will, I guarantee, if you put that into your team, if you're a team that wins about 50% of your face-offs, play your season out, shoot me an email, tell me how many goals you scored off that. Okay? I guarantee you get a goal or two opportunity a game. Easy. It's just a simple thing you should be doing in the non-shot clock era. It makes no sense not to, and it's going to seriously affect how your other team prepares for you. Because now they're going to be in a situation where, we got Jerry's really good on face-offs, but then he's going to have to play defense a lot. Maybe we should slide a Jason on the initial dodge. So it's going to seriously affect the other team. So I would love to see that.
Wing play, how would you simplify wing play for kids who are like just learning how to play?
Great question.
What like rules would you go for like?
So-
teach them?
So what I would do is I would teach them the base set. I would say, this is the draw side. You guys are going to be all the way down here. Your job is to receive a